Hi guys, how are you? It's been a while since I've done a piece to camera, isn't it? It's been ages, in fact. I thought I'd do one. Yeah. So today is what I think the 4th of September, 2021. We've been in this flat now for almost we're in our second week coming up. We're not quite 2 weeks yet, but it's wonderful. I absolutely love it. I've got to say, it's amazing. I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. Yeah, it has, hasn't it? Look at him. Hey? Yeah, huge weight's been lifted off my shoulders. I'm no longer living in a house where I feel like my abuser that was is able to watch where I am anymore. He's not in control. I've taken the control back. I've taken the wheel back of the drive. I'm not in the passenger seat anymore. I'm in the driving seat. I'm in control, and I love it. It's absolutely amazing here. Making the change when I had the phone call telling me that I was going to have to move because I put in for a grant scheme to help with adoptions because of my disabilities. And what I needed doing went up and above, well and truly. Yeah, you get 30,000 on this grant scheme. Not everybody gets accepted. There's a lot of fighting to get what you need. But I needed a lot. I needed doors widening. I needed different doors putting on. I needed a wet room. The kitchen needed widening because it was too small with my wheels. What else? I needed a driveway. I needed the back garden, sort of flattening because it was tiered. So I needed enough just to give me a bit of outdoor space for me. Because I was paying garden people to basically come and do a garden that I could see from a distance, but I couldn't enjoy it. What else? A lift. I needed a lift for my wheels to go upstairs with me. They wouldn't put a stair lift in because of my son having epilepsy. And they said there was a risk that if he fell from the top of the stairs, he'd slash his face open on the teeth for the lift. I needed a lot doing, an awful lot. Whereas here, this flat is more purpose-built because it's meant for disabled. And apparently every time someone moves in, they are ripping out things and stuff. So, yeah, so it is likeable that they will do this. It's very probable. I'm certainly not going to be eating well and truly into the grant and up and over, because what work needs doing is a lot less. This big window behind me here is something that they would rip out and they would put French doors in. So I would have my own, it went dark for a minute. So yeah, it would give me my own access with my wheels through this way. Because going through the flat door is heavy. It sort of shuts on itself as well. So you're fighting against a mechanism. I should have a left arm that's like Popeye's, Yeah. And then there's the main door, the communal door to come in, that is heavy, really heavy, especially if I've got something on my lap like a bag of rubbish to go out. I'm trying to hold on to the door, move myself through. It's a right game. But anyway, so this needs doing. with a ramp putting on. It was discussed when I was looking at the flat in the first place, and one of the housing ladies that's looked after me at the other house, she said they should do that for you, no problem, because it's something that's, if there was a fire, heaven forbid, that you would be able to get out easily, because otherwise you're trapped. Kitchen is fantastic. You know, my sides are lower, the sink's more accessible. It's got a tap, a mixer tap that's long, which is great. But the only minuses is the fact that the sides are still that little bit too high for me. I could do with them being about an inch lower. The cupboards that are above are still too high. They need bringing down a touch, so I can at least use the bottom shelf to them. Yeah, so, you know, for me, it is a lot better here. There is no garden, which is a huge weight off my shoulders, because I was paying garden people £40 every 2 weeks to come and do the grass and maintain it for me, getting all the weeds up, and half of the time they kept missing things. But this is great, because as you may have seen on a previous vid that I've done, just to show my outside space, I have got a little bit of garden area, so it's like around the perimeters of my flat. I've got space for pots, I can put my ornaments out, I can do what I want for me, basically, and it's enough. It's enough just to potter around with, get my hands dirty, and good for my mental well-being and all the rest of it. So yeah, so that's great. I've got my brackets and my hanging basket things and stuff, so in time, come the spring, I'm going to start doing all that, because right now it's all wind down, isn't it? We're all heading into the autumn, and everything's dying back now. Yeah, your plant choices are limited, and I can't wait to get all my poppies back in, and lupins, and all that sort of. I like all the country flowers; they're just gorgeous. But yeah, so, but I just feel it's absolutely amazing where I am. Absolutely love it. It's really been a huge boost to my head, that's for sure. It's a lot easier to keep clean. I'm not saying that my place was dirty, because it wasn't, but it was just hard for me to do anything, because there was just a lot of space to use and to keep on top of. Hence why I had cleaners, and I will have my cleaner come to this place, but she's only got to do, you know, sort of what I can't do, and also I'm sort of keeping on top of until she comes again. But yeah, it's looking fantastic. We are more unpacked now. Look at it. We still have a sofa that is in bits, and a pile of boxes over there, but it's all minimal now. There's a lot of stuff unpacked and out the way. It's just taking time, and I'm doing a bit and then resting, because my back's killing me now from trying to unpack a box of medical stuff. But it is great. I'm absolutely loving it. I didn't realise quite how fantastic this flat is for me. I knew it'd be good, but it's amazing. It really is. I mean, I've got a wet room. I've got wider door spaces. I'm still catching the kitchen door. I'm still taking that with me. So they may put me a different door on, or widen the kitchen door a little bit or something. I don't know. But I need extra plugs as well, because I'm having to charge things up, and I'm having to use extension cables, which I hate. I just need extra bits. So, but things are so much better. Loving it. I'm in the house when I was ready to leave. I did feel, because obviously I've been in domestic abuse, and he was stalking me for 2 years. Right up until the day of move, I was getting messages and all that from him. He wasn't leaving me alone at all, so it was rather nice. And it sort of felt like the night before I moved, I felt like somebody that's packing to leave an abusive relationship. So I never actually felt free from him, even though he wasn't around. It still meant that I was worried every time the security lights went on. I'd be panicking, thinking, is he in the back garden? Is he looking at me from the front? Because he knows where the trigger points are for the security lights. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Every time I needed to go outside to go to the bins or to the car, I'd be worried in case he was around, waiting for me to open the door. And then when my son went out and I was on my own, I was in a worry then. What if? And then every time there was a noise on the landing or something, I'd be panicking, thinking, what if he's got a spare key? What if he can let himself in? What if I woke up to him staring over me and stuff, Horrible. But it's just a relief just to be free from all that. The day that we moved, yes, it was stressful. And we had removal guys turn up with 2 small vans, just 2 chaps. The owner didn't come to the house to do a recce to sort of see what needed to be moved. So it was like guesswork. So I was charged a hell of a lot of money, and they made out that they were a budget firm. And all the time they were clock watching for the next job that was, yeah, quite a drive away and all the rest of it. And obviously more money. So, yeah. So half of my stuff got left behind at the house. When I phoned up the owner to complain, he made out that the house was dirty, disgusting, that his chaps wanted to actually leave, that he told them to leave everything and go on the next job. And they said, no, we can't leave her with all this. So they took what they felt was adequate and left everything else behind. My house wasn't dirty. There might have been a bit of cat litter left, where it comes off the pads in the hallway. But that was it. I'd had my cleaner come just before we moved. So the place was clean. The surfaces of the items were clean. They'd been hoovered. Yeah, there was some cat hairs on the side of the sofa. But for God's sakes, everybody who has animals, whether they live in a posh house or a council house, it makes no difference. They just wanted to go on to the next job. They wanted to ditch me and go on to the more posher stuff, from what I can gather. But yeah, the chap wasn't interested in sorting it out. When the men were there doing the removals, they kept saying to me, "Oh, get him to phone you, so you can book for another van." And I'm thinking, but I don't need another van. I'm not paying out anymore. I thought I've got no more money anyway. So, yeah, I was all out. So then the next day it was a case of having to phone around and then book a hire van, to then get everything else moved because I had to give the keys back Monday. Yeah, all good fun. So yeah, so that was the stressor. And then obviously rounding the cats up and getting them settled in here. But the real fun and games for me was the fact that a couple of days, because I still had a few days, I had the weekend after we'd moved, to go back, get what I needed, have a tidy round of any dust, because obviously when you move sofas and stuff, you find a shed load of dust underneath. And you move cupboards and you've got dust that's accumulated because it's never been moved. And then I went back on the weekend. Left Saturday as a rest day, needed a breather. And I went back Sunday for the final bits. And I bumped in, I disturbed my neighbours. That's the best way of saying it. The neighbours either side of me that were bullies, and they didn't like council people living next door to them, basically, and would drive out anybody that lived there. I caught them digging up the pond and draining it because she didn't want it there next to her conservatory. She made out it was smelling, it was dirty. I thought the pond pump's only just been turned off. You know, water doesn't turn like that very quickly. If we had a really, really hot spell, then maybe, but no, you just didn't want it there, did you? So that was taken away. And then they ran off when they realised that I was there watching them. And then when I went in the back, I noticed that all my plants along the fence line of her fence panel were all pulled up and gone. And also I had a beautiful magnolia tree that also was gone. So all along the fence panels were bare, just soil. So I'm going to have to put a report in and say, look, this is what she's done. I'm not happy at all, you know. I know that around the back as well, the CCTV that I had was, the cables were all pulled. The security lights were all pulled. So it's all the front that she obviously can't get at, because otherwise it draws attention. So of course she didn't like that either. But the CCTV and the security lights will all stay, I'm assuming, until either the council people take them down or the new people take them down. But my God, what a mess. I'm glad to be out of there because they were control freaks, they were bullies, and every time I step out the front door, they would be nosying to see what I was up to. They didn't like me parking in front of my home. The list was endless that went on. And yes, I know some of it was down to my controlling ex, causing problems and fights and all the rest of it, but still, it still was horrible to live in this atmosphere, of feeling like you're being watched, because they used to circle the house. It was like a goldfish bowl. They'd look in from the back as they were walking around, and then there's a public footpath that was in between mine and next door's house, and they used to stare into the garden. Yeah, it was horrible. So I'm really glad to be out of that. It's really done my well-being a lot of good, getting away. And I'm glad to be free. Woohoo! It's only now that I'm starting to feel free. I did go back shortly after we'd moved. My hairdresser did my hair for me one last time. And then that's it now. So I'm glad to be away. I'm glad to be free. I'm glad to be away from the shitload of crap from them. It's a lot calmer. The cats are a lot calmer. I mean, they're always sleeping and chilling out. The odd time they have the odd fight, but they're loads better now. Yeah, It's wonderful. You can, it's this quiet all the time. You don't have loud music. I would be expecting to be hearing people above, but no, don't hear any of that. It's lovely. The majority of people here are elderly or disabled. There are the odd ones that are from other countries and that have got families. They've got little kids and that, but generally speaking, everybody's mindful of everybody. They're really polite. Yeah, it's nice. Right, I'm going to love and leave because I've rambled on long enough, but it's just lovely. I thought I'd do a piece to camera about to anybody that basically is in an abusive relationship or has left and still struggling with their abusive ex. Get yourself out of there, start again somewhere else, and then start feeling free and taking control back of your life. Because I thought when I went vegan 6 months after I got rid of him, that for me was enough. And I was taking back control of my life, but I needed more. I needed to be away from that house, and I didn't realise that quite what I needed to let go of. And I've left all the bad stuff behind. So anything negative has stayed at that house, and when I shut the door, I walked away. So it's a great feeling. Great feeling to be free. So yeah, I'm going to love and leave because I have rambled long enough. 21 minutes. It's one of my longest vids, I think. So I'll say thanks for watching, and until my next vid.